Greetings, everyone. Earl Christian III, Urban Wall Street Project, of course. We're here at the 13th Annual Rainbow Push Wall Street Project Economic Summit in New York City. It's an amazing event. We have some powerful individuals in the financial arena, real estate arena, talking about women's issues, women empowerment, variety of different sections. It's a 3-day seminar. You're going to be seeing a lot of different positive people, hearing positive sound bites. You know we want to bring nothing the best. We want to empower you. We want you to be inspired to be the best that you can be. So keep watching. You're definitely going to enjoy this.
We're going to put together a page, Rainbow Push, bankersjustice.com. The top 10 banks, we intend to go to shareholders' meetings. We're going to get shares of stock in those banks. We're going to have access to the mic as shareholders and not sharecroppers. We're going to have major mass meetings the night before the shareholder meeting takes place. Ministers want to meet with the Secretary of the Treasury. We want to meet with the President to discuss growing poverty. We want to address those who are in the emergency room. We want to address those who are in the emergency room. And therefore, it calls us to act. The President had a meeting with 10 major bankers 2 weeks ago. 3 of them didn't show up. They were too busy counting their money. And they said that they couldn't make it because of the weather. You can go to New York to Washington on the Acela in 2 hours and 50 minutes every day. That was an act of contempt because they got the money without link to reinvestment in America. We intend to change that. I want to clear up one thing because it's so important. See, when you fight this public fight and embarrass the president, that's tricky language. We must see him by his position, not by his race, by what it is he must do as the American president. The whole, I mean this. Dr. King supported Kennedy over Nixon. We still had to march for public accommodations. He just had an ally in the White House. Supported Johnson over Goldwater. We still had to march for the right to vote. We didn't march on Johnson, we marched on Alabama. When we fight back, we help the president. Our silence is betrayal. Our silence is betrayal. It's like the song, them that got, them that get. We ain't got nothing, the community's got nothing yet. And yet, today the Assistant Attorney General made the decision to crack down on banks engaging in redlining. The banks that engage in redlining, reverse redlining, target people by race, and they steer and they cluster and they profile and rob people of millions of dollars in home equity and the neighbors and their home value. That then takes away their tax base, and they have to lay off police, teachers, and firemen. So any corporation that receives government money must honor Title VI, that you cannot discriminate based upon race, sex, and religion. So the corporations that get government money, like the auto industry, or the banks that get government money, must in fact honor civil rights law. And the Attorney General said today they intend to enforce that law, Title VI. That is a big deal. We also had a Secretary of Agriculture here. All towns under 30,000 have opportunities that we've never seized, opportunities to the department has a bank, long-term low-interest loans, business. The agriculture department sells billions of dollars in food, but they build libraries and roads and sewers and schools. We've never tapped into that. Also, you had here a real strong contingent of business people when they're increasing their demands for equity. And of course, Urban League, Mark Morial and I have agreed to work out a plan, Rainbow and Push and the Urban League, to do a job to put real focus on putting America back to work. To the extent that we fought for public accommodations, we won that phase of the dream. The right to vote, we won that phase. But 40 years later, we've come full circle. He looked up and saw a concentration of wealth on Wall Street and money going to war in Vietnam. He said, what about the poor people? Let's have a poor people's campaign. Today we have concentration of wealth on Wall Street, subsidized by the government. War in Iraq and Afghanistan, unemployment rising, home foreclosure rising, church and foreclosure, student loan in default. So to that extent, we've come full circle. It's time again to begin to march and fight back to restructure loans, not repossess homes and churches and students left in default. Well, there's a sense that we know that we voted. It's midnight in our politics, but it's midnight in our economy. The people are hurting. Small businesses cannot get loans. Workers cannot get jobs. Students come out of school with a guaranteed debt without a guaranteed job. So there's a focus here on how to get access to jobs and contracts and end the slow loss of wealth in our homes. 80% of our wealth is in home ownership. So we've taken a disproportionate hit on home ownership. The result is that we're losing wealth and losing equity because we're losing our homes. And that must stop.
There are two sermons that Dr. King gave that I think provides for us what we need to have when we get ready to preach about greed. I don't intend to preach them, but I'll give you the two of them. The first one is in this book called The Measure of a Man. And in it, there is a sermon called The Dimensions of the Complete Life. And in it, he gets excited about the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 16, where it says the man measured the city called heaven. And it was a city 4 square. And because it's a square, it means that all of the dimensions are of equal proportionality. And also, he said, the man said that when he measured the holy city, he said the length of it was the same, and the width. In his day, he said the breadth of it, but the width was the same. And he said, and the height is the same. And Dr. King said, let me tell you what that means. The length, and I'm going to shortchange it now. The length of the life is loving yourself. And the width is loving others. And the height is loving God. And Dr. King said that the best way to live the good life is to make sure that there is a balance in regards to these matters. Dr. King never said that you don't need an ego, otherwise that'll mess up Jesse. But he said you can have all the interest you want in yourself. But if you get stuck on yourself, your stuff, your success, your money, you guess what your problem is? You're out of. And if you don't know it, he says some folks are loving up on themselves, but if you also love others, that'll help. But he said that if you only love yourself and others, you're still. And then he went on and said, if you really want to be complete and you really want to be a person fulfilling your destiny, you got to be balanced with respect to self, with respect to others, and with respect to God. I said, thank you, Dr. King, because now I got a way to talk about greed. I can talk about greed to the CEOs. I can talk about greed to the bankers, and I ain't going to call them no bad names. I'm just saying, hey, man, you can have your millions if you want. But you got to make sure that your acquisitiveness regarding your stuff getting in is balanced by your capacity to give it out. And the other day when they were trying to explain why they're getting all these big bonuses, it was amazing that they did understand that. So they said, well, we're going to make sure that we require these folks that's getting these bonuses to give some away. They know it. I mean, in their hearts, they know that they are out of balance. And I don't think that a little penny or two here in charity is going to straighten out the balance very much. But at least it shows they know the principle. And so it is that matter is before us today. Everybody here, when you talk your sermon, let folks know we don't care that you got a yacht. I don't care that you got 7 homes. I don't care about how big your fling is, or your bling bling, or your gold ring. The only thing I want to know is I just hate to see you.
It's the 13th year, and it really shows like it is the 13th year. There are tons of business leaders, leaders in the community, and it's a real think tank of many of the leaders, both governmental and in the industrial sense. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite session?
And in all honesty, the luncheon today was a really good session. Great speakers. Governor Patterson, came out, made some remarks, received an award, as well as just a number of real business leaders as well. Speaking towards the USDA secretary, talking about various ways that agriculture can be utilized in developing countries to help them get a foothold on various economic growth. Honestly, it really starts at making things attainable. A lot of the small businesses as well as the women-owned businesses need to have the right open doors with regards to the opportunities from all of the government stimulus money that's being put out there. There are a ton of people really taking advantage of it, and we just need to make sure the awareness is there and the opportunity to be in the forefront of those opportunities get to these minority-owned businesses.
For women, those challenges have come to be known as the infamous glass ceiling. A flawed metaphor, if ever I heard one. A glass ceiling doesn't begin to capture the complexity and variety of challenges that women face. I'm not alone in feeling that way. The authors of an article in the Harvard Business Review made a strong case for a more fitting bit of imagery. What women face, they said, is more of a labyrinth, an image that really captures the idea that women's leadership journey contains walls around them, and passage is neither simple nor direct. It requires persistence and a careful analysis of the puzzle that lies ahead. The challenges for women in the workplace include family responsibilities. Careers are interrupted by childbirth, and we tend to shoulder the lion's share of childcare responsibilities, if not do it all alone. There are also issues of leadership style and authenticity, and of course, vestiges of prejudice to deal with. Women in the workplace tend to have very little time to socialize with colleagues and build professional networks, which are essential to career progression. At BNY Mellon, we address these special needs by building a women's affinity network, and I'm proud to say that I'm the chair of that network. We call it the Women's Initiatives Network, or WIN, and I'll just start calling it WIN. WIN is many things to many people. It's a source of community, a means for professional and career development, a resource for mentoring and retaining talented women, and a resource for information on issues specific to women in the workplace.
Well, let's deal with it in two parts. Today, absolutely, I think Reverend Jackson does a wonderful job of celebrating the power that women have in terms of being the heads of households, of energizing a community and encouraging young people to follow in their path. So today was really about setting the tone for the rest of the community and the family. But when you talk about Reverend King, I think about Mrs. King, who I've had an opportunity to meet and interview before she passed away. And one of the things that she talked about was how, as a woman, as much as she supported her husband, she made sure that she never lost herself. And so I think it's key that when we're supporting our man, when we're supporting our community, that we never lose ourselves or lose focus of our dreams and our goals.
Women sadly have made very few strides on Wall Street since the early 80s. Although our numbers have increased dramatically, I would say at the lower and middle levels of management, still there is a dearth of women who are at the managing director level, and certainly there's not even one woman who's CEO of an investment banking firm. The first thing I would say to a young woman starting out today is, first of all, you must be technically proficient at whatever it is that you've been tasked to do. So you need to have a reputation for being excellent at whatever your endeavor is. So if it's in corporate finance or if it's in money management, fortunately there are many kind of third-party independent arbiters of performance. And so the first thing you have to do is, I say, perform. The next thing you need to do is you need to network amongst women in your organization and men in your organization. You need to be involved in trade organizations, and you need to make sure that your excellent performance is recognized in an appropriate and palatable way. And you need to seek out not only mentors, but sponsors, those people who can truly help promote you within the organization.
Still here at the Economic Summit for the Rainbow Push Coalition at Wall Street Project that Jesse Jackson created 13 years ago. It's a beautiful situation. People are going to be coming in, but keep watching. I know you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. You're going to continue to see positive information, so you know how we do at the Urban Wall Street Project. Enjoy it.
My name is Adrienne Trimble, and I'm the manager of Supplier Diversity for Toyota's manufacturing and engineering operations for North America. It's a great sense of accomplishment and achievement for me to be recognized by Rainbow Push in the area of economic development in the minority community. I don't feel that what I do is something to be recognized. I think we all have an obligation to help our communities improve and to develop, because that's going to be the fastest way to our economic recovery. So I'm pleased and I'm receiving the recognition, but honestly, I'm just glad that I'm in a position to be able to help. Well, I think that by making sure that there was equal treatment for everyone and that all mankind received fair treatment, that in itself helped to forward the agenda for women and help women to be able to have more impact and inclusion along the way and to be a part of the overall civil rights movement too.
Well, actually, the youth of A World of Money are deeply honored to receive this recognition, and I pray that this will attract more resources to serve them more, because these children are starving for financial education. When a child says, I didn't even know this world existed, or I can create my financial legacy, Ms. Lamb, this is indeed an honor to really create a new foundations or generations of Black and Latino children.
It's actually very special because I worked at the Rainbow. I actually started my career at the Rainbow, and it's just an honor to be able to come back and receive this award. And I thank God that I've been able to stay with the Rainbow for all these many years. It was the foundation for which gave me the platform to do many of the things that I've accomplished, so I'm grateful.
Spectacular. The first year was at the World Trade Center. There's an increasing demand and need for this sort of conference. The financial landscape has dramatically changed. The United States is now a debtor nation. You're looking at the emergence of Eastern empires and Eastern transfers of wealth. You're seeing a massive redistribution of wealth upward in our country. Many civil rights have not been enforced as far as giving equal access to African American women and others to participate in the financial market. Coming back to the capital of capital, New York City, to have meetings with bankers, major financial institutions. This is where the new civil rights struggle has to be, for fair and equal access to the credit markets.
With the Martin Luther King holiday approaching us, do you think the dream has been fulfilled? And if yes, what are some of those success stories?
Has the dream been fulfilled? No. Some of the success stories is that Reverend Martin Luther King died at the age of 39. That when he started in life, he had to go to the back of a hotel. He had to stand up on the bus. He changed those rules so that we can sit anywhere where we can afford on a plane. He changed the rules so that we can stay in any hotel that we can afford. What was his dream was equal access to opportunity. And that's where we are continuing to have to strive forward. It's a little more ambiguous, a little more vague, although we can see the ascendancy of an African American in the presidency. The capital markets lag far behind. That as we see the testimonies today on the eve of his birthday in the Senate in Washington today, the best and brightest of America in the financial sector were not represented. The same persons that perpetrated the Americans now 1 out of 3 being underwater in their home equity on their house are the same ones that the titan of the financial world, are the same ones that are justifying their pay, that are justifying their wealth, and have not created any value. So we don't know how great baseball can be until everybody can play. We don't know how great America can be until everyone has an access to the opportunity to have investments in their business. So the dream still lives on. There's a lot of work to be done. There are 1,000 more hills we have to climb.
Okay, and as you wrap up, this is almost the last day. As we're wrapping up, it's almost the last day. What are your hopes for the future?
Hopes for the future? Unfortunately, we're in the middle of, as what former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan said, a once-in-a-lifetime credit tsunami, that the economic conditions are going to become much more severe. On this year, as of January 14, 2010, we are in the middle of a reset storm of Alt-A on mortgages. We're in a reset storm on municipal and state finances. So we're going to see a lot more pain. So the summer of 2010, I think we should all be mindful and prayerful. This is going to be a dark, hot summer because as people need the states more, there are less resources. Wall Street should not have had their profits and their wealth redistributed up while Americans are still facing foreclosures in record numbers. So that is why we're here seeking parity and economic justice.
What Jesse Jackson has been doing with the Wall Street Project, I've personally been involved with the group for over, 12 years. And what we're doing in 100 Black Men with our focus on education, particularly of young Black and Hispanic boys, and all the work that all the other groups are doing combined, we're getting there.
Okay. If you take a look at the unemployment numbers that came out last Friday, it was quite dismal for African Americans. What do you think, as a group, 100 Black Men can do to forge forward and helping these numbers to decrease?
Well, I think that it's a challenge for us because the service sector of the economy requires a high level of education. So I think what we can do is exactly what we're doing now is educating our young men and to provide a larger pool of workers for the employment for the markets right now. We are good entrepreneurs. I think that if you look around at what's happened in Wall Street during this crisis, Black firms have survived. People like Chris Williams at Williams Capital and Jim Reynolds at Loop and John Utendahl at Utendahl Capital. These guys have managed to get through several cycles and are still thriving. I think that we find strength in adversity. African Americans in general and African American businessmen in particular. I don't think that we get any specific job or opportunity when it's easy. We tend to get opportunities in crisis, and we're good turnaround artists. And I think you're going to see some surprising things come out of this chaos, if you will, in African American entrepreneurship.
And how have you enjoyed your time at the summit?
It's been fantastic.
I'm Veronica Black. I am the Northeast Region Director of 1,000 Churches Connected here out of the Wall Street Project office in New York. I'm just in awe of everything that's going on here and just really pumped up and excited from all the positive responses that I'm getting from pastors and business people and community leaders about all the information that they've received from the conference.
Who was the summit for? Who were the participants in the summit?
Who were the participants? Well, the participants were people from every aspect of business and community and world leadership, actually. The summit was for everyone. The particular mission or focus, I think, is for people to rev up and to get ready to do more fighting, get ready to do more talking, get ready to do more communicating, because the issues are vast. The issues are vast, and it will take a village to get through everything that we have to do. Primarily, the focus and what's very strong on Reverend Jackson's heart is, the issue of foreclosure, of churches being foreclosed upon, of homes being foreclosed on due to subprime and predatory lending issues. So this is very heavy on his heart, as well as the student loan crisis. so many of our students are suffering and paying very high interest rates, while some of our banks and financial institutions are getting breaks that our students should be having.
My last question is about Dr. King's birthday. As we approach Dr. King's birthday, do you feel that the dream has been fulfilled?
I guess I will say that it is still in process. No, it has not been fulfilled. It's a work in progress. Today, during the minister's luncheon, Dr. James Forbes spoke so eloquently and so beautifully about Dr. King's dream. And he pretty much evoked the spirit of Dr. King and just in a very beautiful way admonished all present to keep strong and keep fighting and to stay in balance. Don't get out of balance because there is so much to do. And if we get ahead of ourselves and we forget about the least of us, then we are really no earthly good.
Well, the church for a long time was not gender friendly. It was geared toward the African American female because it was more emotionally driven. What we've tried to do is combat that issue and that problem by having summits for men, having conferences just for men, Super Bowl party. I did one last year just for men. I had over 75 men who showed up for it, and most of those men were not men who attend church. And they just wanted to know that you are normal. I make sure that Monday through Saturday that I don't dress up in suit and tie. I'm on the corners. I'm walking around baseball cap, sweatsuits, jeans, so that they can know I'm approachable. And at the same time, on Sunday mornings, that there's a place for you. We do a partnership with NAACP, Father and Son Breakfast, where it's committed. Every father has to bring their son or a son or a kid from the community that you're mentoring. So that's one of our ways of reaching those men in our community because they want to come to church. They just don't want to feel alienated once they arrive.
My people, I hope you've enjoyed this annual Wall Street Project Economic Summit. You know our mission here at the Urban Wall Street Project is to bring you nothing but the best information, to make you financially aware, financially literate, to empower you and inspire you. So I'm sure you've enjoyed this segment. You've heard a lot of powerful information. Like I always say, be mindful, be prosperous, do your diligence, be educated. Until next time, peace.